Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with part 1 in what's going to be a new series in RimWorld. But this time around, instead of going sort of the sci-fi route that we have done in other series, like our Star Wars Let's Play or the Warhammer 40k Let's Play, this one is going to be strictly medieval. I thought this would be a nice, change of pace because, again, in the other two playthroughs, we've got a lot of sci-fi stuff happening. In the Star Wars one, we're trying to set up like a research facility where we're, creating super soldiers. And in the Warhammer one, we're basically trying to create like this giant fortified monstrosity of a base, where we're probably also going to be creating super soldiers. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of change things up. And in this playthrough, I'm running several mods that take out a lot of the higher level technology from the game and add in a bunch of like medieval and ancient technologies. And so I think this will be a lot of fun because we're going to be a lot more focused on rural stuff, animal husbandry. The combat is going to be a lot more in your face because the best weapons available are going to be melee weapons, although there are longbows and crossbows and things like that, and I think even some ballista. But for the most part, we're going to be seeing people with swords and spears and halberds and things like that, proper armor, whether it be plate or chainmail. So I think this will be a lot of fun. Also, to sort of fit the Elder Scrolls theme that I'm going for here, I have a mod that adds magic and enchanting. So along with that, there's a class system, and I'll introduce you to our new characters in just a second here, but there are more classes than I can name. However, each one has different skills and abilities associated with it that can be leveled up, and then the classes themselves can be leveled up as well. So we are playing as Nords, I guess, because I really like Skyrim. I like the Nords, and we're just going to call this some unexplored piece of Skyrim, or just maybe somewhere kind of remote that hasn't been settled yet. And we're being led by Jarl Black. His original name was just Black Bison, and so I just changed it to Jarl Black. I didn't feel like sitting there and randomizing it forever. So his childhood backstory was medieval lordling, and then he became a medieval knight. That's the closest thing I could find to what I was looking for, because I didn't want somebody who was incapable of a bunch of stuff. As a Jarl, he would still be a capable fighter, and not just, somebody sitting on a throne. He is incapable of cleaning. Obviously, he would have people for that. But otherwise, he is very capable and can do quite a few things for us, including melee combat. And you can see in his gear, he's wearing some pretty nice armor here, Warlord's plate, and he's also got a very nice greatsword. So he'll be one hell of a tank for us, and then he's also got some abilities that he can use with that sword. We'll explore those more later. But his traits are iron-willed, so he is very rarely going to break for us. He is the leader after all. Super immune. Being a Nord, he's pretty hardy. He's not really going to suffer from too many diseases. And then he's also Blade Master. This is his class. So it gives us a few perks, but it can also be leveled into, I think, like Master Blade Master, and maybe even something beyond that. But yeah, so that is our leader. He's 36 years old. And then our next character is Trobo. Again, I'm just using randomized names. He is our blacksmith. And so he is a capable melee fighter, but not quite as good as the Jarl. He's more about construction and crafting. That's his main profession. But being a Nord in Skyrim, he's going to be pretty hardy and able to defend himself. He's also iron-willed. Those Nords are stubborn. Blade Master 2, because that's the class associated with like swords and melee weapons. And then he's a fast learner. Obviously, in order to build contraptions and whatnot, he's got to be pretty intelligent, and so he picks things up pretty quickly. But he's not much of one for art. He doesn't care about aesthetics. He cares about function. And so, yeah, somebody else will have to do that job. Then we have Cheta, who's our farmer. He is, let's see, a herder by trade, and again a stalwart farmer. Incapable of artistic, he's got bigger things. The Nords are very Spartan people. They don't worry too much about things like that. He's a woodsman, so he is able to kind of hunt and fend for himself. He can use a bow fairly well, but he does prefer to get up in people's faces like most Nords do. He's also industrious. He's a hard worker, and he's got a green thumb, so he knows what he's doing, growing crops. Then we have Umbra. Umbra is Chetta's wife. She is an amateur botanist as well as an herbalist. Well, formerly an amateur botanist who became an herbalist. She can't cook, but she is essentially a druid. Actually, that's her class, is druid. So she, I believe, is more resistant to poisons and whatnot, is better with animals than your average person, or at least has a greater likelihood to tame them. Her animal skill is not particularly high. And she is great with immunity and medicine and stuff like that. And you can see she actually has some abilities that reflect that. One of her skills is that she can cure diseases. This doesn't necessarily guarantee we'll get cured, but there is a high chance of success. She also has an ability to poison people, as well as to manipulate animals. The way this works is if they are hostile, this will tame them, and if they are tame, it will enrage them. So if an enemy comes in with like an attack dog or something, we can actually enrage it while they're coming in and have it turn on them or something. But because she is kind of a druid into witchcraft and stuff, she does have a bit of a chemical interest. She may dabble in some of the drugs and potions we produce. And she's too smart. She knows a little bit too much for her own good, and it kind of puts people off. But she's going to be our doctor, as well as doing most of our research. And then she is, pretty handy with plants, helping out Chetta in the farms. And then finally we have Hawk, who might actually be our most important character. She's very versatile in that she's really handy with her longbow, but can also hold her own in melee combat. She's also probably the most social of the group, although, Jarl Black being the leader is, fairly capable as well. She loves animals. She's, I would say an outdoorsman, I guess outdoors woman. She just loves being out in nature, befriends animals as well as, hunts them, and just likes, nature. She knows basic first aid because she's out on her own fairly often, needs to be able to take care of herself, but she's not, proficient at it per se. And she can cook in a pinch. She's also decent at mining. But she's a little bit faster than the average pawn. She's also a very proficient hunter, as that stuff would imply. And she is beautiful. She's also taken. She is the wife of Trobo. So these two are married, and these two are married, and these two are married. Jarl Black is single. That may not remain for long. But anyways, that's enough character introductions. Let's take a greater look at the map here. You can see that I have laid out plans for a pretty substantial, I don't know if to call this a castle necessarily. It's more of like a walled town almost, being this large. But I do have like several, towers here with thick walls connecting them. This would be the location of a gate. These are going to be open. They're not going to be solid walls. They'll be one thick. We'll use the Embracers mod that we are using in our other playthroughs to allow people to fire their bows through them. But they'll be utilized as sort of like rooms. So we can at least have, minimal storage and stuff in these. We may have people sleeping in the towers just so there's always people, ready to come and guard the gates. And this area here in the center is actually going to be all open. It's, these are just walls around the city, I guess. This area is also going to be open, but this is going to be more of a courtyard, a little bit more decorated and organized. And this area here, this semicircle, is going to be an interior space where Jarl Black will have his... It's not really a longhouse, is it? But this is where he'll hold court, I guess. We'll have several rooms in here for cooking and sleeping and all that stuff. Maybe a grand hall in the center. And then off to the side, I figured this might be a dungeon of some sorts. In all of my playthroughs, I use the prison labor mod, as well as the quarry mod, and this would be a great location to throw down a quarry and maybe have a dungeon nearby. that we can use to force prisoners to work that for us. For this playthrough specifically, I'm also running a fishing mod, as well as a few other animal-related mods. So we will be able to utilize the water on these to actually gain food. We are also spawning in with a couple of animals. We have 2 horses, a dog who is hiding behind the horse. So we have a male Caucasian shepherd. He looks sort of like a German shepherd, named Groucho, who's hiding behind the horse. And then we have Lorenzo, our male horse, and Asia, our female horse. And so I figured one thing that we could strive to achieve in this playthrough is setting up sort of like a stud farm where we raise and sell horses, but we can also ride these through the Giddy Up mod, and we can use them as pack animals for caravans. So I think they'll be very useful, but I think it would also be cool to raise more than we need and sell some off. I'm not gonna, slaughter them for food or anything. That would be, it seems like, wasteful. We also spawned in with a rooster and 3 hens, so hoping to get like a chicken farm going. The chickens should provide us with constant eggs, which will give us a source of animal products that we can use as meat without having to actually slaughter animals. Although, of course, if we get too many, we can slaughter the chickens and use them for meat as well. So that's the plan. We also have a bunch of pemmican to hold us over until we have some sort of food supply up and running. But I figure we'll start in this little area here as our home base. So let's go to structures, and we'll throw down some wooden doors right there. We'll also queue up a couple of wooden beds. Let's see, furniture. Now this is a problem because the medieval mod actually removes beds. So we can make bedrolls, but we need significant amounts of cloth to do that. So I think we're just going to have several sleeping spots for the time being. Let's see, I'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. We are going to want somewhere for them to sit and eat. So I guess we could do a small wooden table in the corner with a couple of wooden stools around it, just so they have somewhere to sit down. And then we don't actually need to use any of the elaborate cooking stuff. There is a fire pit that we can use to cook with. And it's actually more efficient because it's only ever going to use wood when something's actively being cooked. The downside is that it makes an absolute mess. It's really dirty. So we might want to put it outside somewhere. Let's actually, hold on. Let's go to production. We are going to need to butcher stuff, so we'll queue up a butcher's table here maybe. And then we'll throw down the fire pit next to it. How about that? So we can butcher animals and then cook them up here. And is there anything else that we need to get started? Definitely some growing zones. So let's see. Where do we want to start these for now? We can kind of future-proof this. I don't know if I want to have growing zones inside the walls or if I want to do them outside. But for now, I think it's best that we just kind of keep them close. So let's do, that seems awfully big. Let's do like 12 by, maybe 10 by 10s even. We'll do a 10 by 10 there and a 10 by 10 here. And then we'll mirror it over on this side. And so let's see, I think potatoes are going to be the way to go here. Generally, if you're doing hydroponics, I like to go with rice because they grow very quickly. But, rice is also very finicky, and hydroponics stations or basins give you ideal growing conditions. The soil we're dealing with isn't really, I mean, it might be 100% fertility, so we might be able to pull off rice. I feel like potatoes are more appropriate though. You don't see Nords eating rice, so we'll go for potatoes. Is there anything else that would be better? I don't think so. So yeah, we'll do potatoes. Next to that, let's do a different type of food, maybe some like strawberries. How fast do strawberries grow? Let's see, 4.62 days, whereas rice is 3 days, so it's faster than that. And how about potatoes? Potatoes are 5.8. So maybe we should do strawberries because those can be eaten raw. We don't need to cook those, whereas the potatoes we would need to prepare in some form. So that's a nice extra thing to have as well. And then over here, I'm actually going to cut this into 2. So let's see. Split that in... Why is that 11 across? There we go. Split that in half. And then we'll create another growing zone here that's separate. Oh, that's not going to work. Right. Growing zone. I don't know if it'll let me butt them up right next to each other like that, but I'll try it. So this is going to be heel root. And then, let's see, why do I have such a hard time finding that? Another growing zone here. Yeah, it keeps connecting them, so I'll have to separate them a bit, which is fine. It just will lose, you know, one row of space. This will be, what do we want to make? Maybe, we don't have the technology to do beer yet, so hops will be later. I think smoke leaf is a good idea. Yeah, let's get a little bit of smoke leaf going. And that should give us a decent variety of stuff. And then we're going to immediately queue up some of these animals for hunting. So that emu is going to go. I've already queued up a few animals for taming. There was a alpaca that spawned fairly close to us. I feel like alpacas and their wool would be fantastic to have around. Because we are in a fairly cold climate. You can see, I believe it's the beginning of, or the end of spring. So, it is 12 degrees Celsius outside, which is a little bit chilly. And it's only going to get colder. Well, it'll get a little bit warmer in the summer. I think the max temperature, it said, for this climate was like 19 degrees Celsius, which is somewhere in like the 60s Fahrenheit. Which is, you know, it's sort of nice out, but not necessarily warm. So, I think it gets as low as -10, so wool clothing is definitely a must. So yeah, we'll try to tame that one. I didn't see any males around. It'd be nice to get a male and a female and breed them, but, you know, even if we have just one, it's better than nothing. And we'll just have to keep our eye out for another. Actually, there's one right there, and it's a male. Cool. We'll try to tame that one then. We're going to hunt this turkey, and we'll probably hunt a lot of the ibex and whatever the rest of these things are. Those are ibex. That's an ostrich. We'll hunt that. What are these? Bucks and does. So deer. Let's hunt you as well. So yeah, we're going to probably just hunt those. But there is also a big thing of boar right here. I figure I will try to tame the youngest male and female there. And then maybe just hunt the rest. We'll see. The thing though, is I can't queue up too much hunting because we don't have a way of storing food. It is cold, but it's not that cold. So if we have raw meat, it's going to spoil fairly quickly. And there are things we can sort of do, like passive coolers, for example, but we don't really have a room to put them in, and they don't last very long or cool things down very much. Not nearly as much as like you know, a cooler or a refrigerator would. So yeah, we're in kind of a tough spot there. I'm also going to queue up a bit of wood chopping. Let's just kind of clear cut this area. So anything that's in where we want to plant, let's get rid of that first. And then I'll worry about other stuff later. But that'll give us some wood to work with on top of the wood that we already have. And then I'm also going to, let's see, let's unforbid these. Hopefully that was all of them. Let's make sure we unforbid this as well. Whoops. Let's pan out a bit so people can eat. And then I am going to queue up a couple of... Let's put it here. Just a couple of walls there, and then we're going to build a roof over that. And we'll turn this into a stockpile zone. Except for right there and right there, because that's where people will be standing, and everything will go in there. All right, everybody get to work. I think they're going to immediately go eat some pemmican. Pemmican is great because it doesn't spoil. So, I mean, it does spoil. It just takes like years. Oh, you're already hunting? Wow, okay. Well, yeah, I might need to rein you in on that. But you know what, it's fine. As long as she doesn't, like, kill everything right away. Also, let's see, what is our... Well, actually, we have a lot of other things we need to do. Let's go to manual priorities, like we always do. Firefighting is always going to be first, as well as being a patient. If you're badly injured, I want you, getting taken care of. Bed rest, I like to put it 2. So if they have something more important to do, they'll do that first. But if they are injured, I want them to go rest eventually. But obviously, if they are in life-threatening danger, I want them to go immediately take care of that. Flicking switches, I always like to put at 1 as well, just so that gets done right away. Generally, those are things you want taken care of, like, now. And then let's see, wardening. Who's going to be our warden? Let's leave you at 3. Trobo, I'll leave you at 4 so that you can do it if I need to, like, issue you a direct order. But I'd rather you not do it otherwise. So yeah, I think 4 is good. Hawk at 9 is probably going to be doing a lot of that, so I'll put her up at 2. For Jailer, I don't really want anybody doing that. That's for somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of other skills. For those of you who don't know, Jailer is part of the prison labor mod, and that essentially... Actually, you know what, Umbra, let's put you in there at 3. This particular occupation is the person that oversees the prisoners while they work. If the jailer's not present, the prisoners won't work. And it works the same way as the warden. The higher the social skill they have, the better they are at it. Animal handling, that's going to be all Hawk, but Cheetah could also do it in a pinch. So I'll leave that at like 3, because he's mostly going to be building and farming. Let's see, negotiation, that's also going to be you. Cooking, that will not be you, but I'll put you at 4 just in case. Hunting, let's leave that at 3. There's other things I'd rather you do first, but hunting is something you're definitely going to be doing. Cheetah, you're going to be our main cook as well. Construction, we'll leave that at 3. Trobo, you're going to be at 2. And Jarl Black, I think I'll put you at 2 as well, because some of the other stuff he's not going to be doing a lot of. So he may as well do a lot of that. And then let's see, growing is going to be 2 and 2. Mining, yeah, we can put that at 3. Although I would probably rather you not do a lot of mining. Oh man, that leaves us with only 1 miner. Let's put you at 3 as well. You're not great at it, but somebody's got to do it. Really, Hawk is the best miner we have, huh? Well, we're going to need some recruits. Plant cutting, that's something that you guys should be doing a lot of. Hawk, probably not going to be doing much, but I won't completely eliminate it. Because we do need, when we have a harvest, we kind of need everybody helping, so we'll do that. Smithing, tailoring, and crafting is going to be all Trobo, although tailoring not so much. We're going to try to find somebody else for that. Hauling, we'll leave it 3 for everybody. 3 here as well. Research is going to be something that Umbra mainly focuses on. I'll put Jarl Black at 4 because he is capable of doing it. And he does have some passion for it, but I'd rather he not be doing that most of the time. And then Trobo, I don't think I want you doing it at all, at least not for right now. So those are our priorities. Let's change this up a little bit. I would rather you guys... You know what? I'm actually okay with that. Let's leave that be. Generally, I have them wake up a little bit later and stay up a little bit later. But this is like a medieval fantasy settlement we're talking about. So generally, they would wake up at dawn and go to sleep, not too far after sundown because they didn't have a lot of light to work with. They had torches and candles, but that is expensive. So, they went to bed fairly early because you can't work in the dark. So yeah, we'll stick with that. In terms of animals, I kind of want the chickens to... Let's actually create an animal area. I'll make it fairly big, but I don't want them grazing. Let's see, land, animal area 1. I don't want them grazing from our crops. So anywhere in this area is fine, and I'll expand that a little bit further. They should if I'm not mistaken, be able to graze from the grass. But I don't want them wandering too far off because, you know, they might get eaten by something. So we'll experiment with that, see how it goes. The dogs are, of course, going to have to eat, or the dog is going to have to eat pemmican or something for now. But I don't think that'll be a problem. Okay, good. We're getting our roof put down. This, of course, is going to be very temporary. We'll try to start building, you know, our castle here as soon as we can. Although, in terms of... Hold on, let me pause. In terms of research, we have a long way to go. We have essentially nothing other than the ability to make recurve bows. So, you can see we're basically a blank slate here. We have pemmican, psychoid brewing, passive cooler, the ability to make bed rolls. We have to research beds. What else? Ice sculpting. That's not something we're going to be doing much of, I don't think. Although maybe during the winter. But I don't know. I don't know how well that would go over. And then, just to get basic medieval technologies, we actually have to do a bit of research. It's fairly quick at 200, but because we are technically Neolithic, it's actually going to double that time, so it'll take a little bit longer. But it's something we're going to want to start fairly quickly. I imagine we could probably fit a research bench in here somewhere. So let's do that. Simple research bench. Steel is going to be a problem because we don't have any yet. But we'll try to get some. And then we're going to want to put down somewhere to sit as well, because that'll speed up the research a bit. Okay, so that's all queued up. Let's issue a bit of mining order as well. Where do we want to start? Hawk is already off hunting. I think I queued up too many hunting orders, but that's okay. Let's dig that out. Hunting emu. That's the same one, so I guess it's not too bad. All right. You're planting. That's good. I should honestly have Hawk helping with that right now. Can you not assign to growing? How bad are you at it? 2. How bad can you screw up planting? I feel like you can. It's harvesting that's kind of dangerous. Because if they botch a harvest, then we lose the food. So let's put everybody at 4 so I can actually order them to do it. And yeah, I'd rather you help out here. Because the sooner this gets planted, the... So you're hauling and building stuff. That's totally fine. And you're doing the same? Okay. So 3 people planting, 2 people building. That's totally cool with me. But yeah, we don't want to, you know, accidentally botch a harvest and lose a bunch of food. Okay, I need to take her off of hunting right now, or at least lower it. So I'm going to put that at 4, and we'll set growing to 1. And that should get her to... Really? Okay, that works. Fine by me. It's going to take them a while to plant this because they do have to, you know, clear the grass out, move any of these rocks and things, chop down trees, all that good stuff. But it looks like, cool, we've got this done. Hopefully we can get the pemmican thrown under there. Is that... Yeah, food is able to be placed there, so that should be fine. Very good. We could deconstruct this to start building, because we aren't even able to cut blocks yet, or cut chunks into blocks. But if we deconstruct this, we'll get free sandstone blocks. And let's see, what is this? Steel. So we can get some steel from that, actually. Let's do that now. Can I do this whole thing at once? I don't think I can. But yeah, if we deconstruct this, that'll give us a bit of free steel that we can use for producing some of these things. And as soon as we get that research bench done, we'll queue up medieval research. I don't know what exactly that'll get us. We'll find out as soon as it's done. But I'd really like to be able to start researching beds, because they are not going to be pleased with sleeping on the ground. And bedrolls are going to be difficult to come by, just because they require quite a bit of cloth, and we have none. Although, after a bit of hunting, we might have some. It's just we'd have to hunt a bunch of the same animal. So maybe a bunch of boars and make some boar skin bedrolls or something. But honestly, that still wouldn't be enough for everybody. Okay, you know what, Hawk? I'm going to change up what you're doing because I'm thinking that rather than growing, it might be better for you to go try to tame some animals. Apparently mining took precedence. There is a lot of stuff for you to do. I don't know why you're ignoring it. Let's see, where did that emu go? Or not emu, excuse me, where did that alpaca go? No usable food, got it. We need plant matter, that's right. In that case, go ahead and, let's see, oh, I have to harvest them first. Harvest these, and then use that. That should work. These two seem to have the planting business down. They're tearing through this, so I don't think she needs to really help them. I think they can handle it. What are you up to? You're gonna go grab some more steel. That's great. Horses are going in the house. I don't know why they're doing that, but fine. And then once this food is available, she should go and start trying to tame some animals with it. I would prefer she do the alpaca first because I don't want it to leave. I don't know where the male went. I'm not that concerned as long as we get one of them. We can always get another later. She's going to do the boar first. I guess, don't do that. Do this. The alpaca is way more important than the boar. Boar are great though. Boar are probably one of the most, what's the word? One of the most versatile animals that you can breed. They are pretty decent in combat if you throw numbers at enemies. They're fairly resilient. They don't get hurt that easily, and they can be a great source of food and hide. And they have, I believe, pretty good. Well, we can't check right now because we don't have anyone tamed, but pretty good intelligence. So I think you can train them to do just about everything, hauling, release for fighting, all that good stuff. Speaking of which, we're going to want to tame our dog and our horses for obedience. The chickens can't be trained, but that's fine. We are going to want to make sure that, you know what, we'll train them for everything. And then for the horses, I want them rescue and hauling trained, but not release. I don't want them running out to fight. But we actually can ride them into battle. That's something we'll try later, but it does depend on your animal handling skills, so not everybody will be able to. What are you doing now? You're gonna go grab some more berries. I feel like I should queue up every berry bush I see. So let's find one, and then I'll pan out and double click it. And it should give me a lot of them. Although there's a ton of spectago. Not a lot of there we go. So let's pan out, and oh, is it not gonna work? Fine. At least get the ones around here. We want to have plenty of berries available to throw at these animals. I don't want to waste our food, and obviously we don't really have anything to use with them. Okay, we got a wild boar at least. So there's one. I believe they can also graze, too. I might be wrong with that, but I think they can graze. If that rat goes near our food, I want you to kill it. Go ahead and kill it. Do me a favor and kill that thing. Oh, you're not set to be able to hunt? Yeah, just melee attack it. Okay, good. As you were. Just don't want that thing eating our pemmican. And you better stay away as well. I kind of like raccoons. I'm actually kind of tempted to tame it and have it be a pet for somebody. But for now, I don't think I will. Okay, so this is all fueled up. Again, it won't burn fuel until we actually put something in it to cook, though. That's why I really like that little piece of equipment there. It looks like we're actually getting our stuff planted pretty quickly here. You're going to go mine for us, okay. So let's see, we have a wild boar. Let's make sure that's obedience trained. We'll also train it for rescue and hauling too. Again, not going to do release training. If I get a bunch of them, I might, but I don't plan to make a boar army. I just want to have them around as, you know, haulers, maybe eventually as a food source. But ultimately, I don't plan on making an army out of them, at least not yet. So they're going to dig some more steel for us. I don't know that we need much at the moment. Cutting trees, that's good. Honestly, if everything is planted... Oh, it's not. Okay. Once everything is planted, I would really like for her to get started on research, because we're very limited in what we can do until she, you know, progresses us a bit. It looks like the chickens are able to just eat right off of the ground, all this grass here. So as long as the grass keeps growing back, that is fantastic. It means we do not need to worry about a food source for them. I'm pretty sure the horses are the same. I don't think they need to be fed as well, as long as there's plenty of grass available. We will eventually start growing hay grass, just to ensure that they have a constant food source, because during winter I imagine a lot of this grass will die. But, oh, is this thing dying? Might want to cut that up and turn it into something. We can, I believe, make pemmican. Can we make it here? Make pemmican. What does it require? 0.25 nutrition meat, 0.25 nutrition vegetarian. Am I able to make it with just meat? I guess if I'm not, I can harvest a bunch of raspberries and use those. But let's go ahead and queue that up, and I'll just say do forever. And so anytime we have raw meat or, you know, vegetable stuff, plant matter available, somebody will come along and start making it. So Hawk, go ahead and prioritize hunting that, because it's already dying. All you need to do is finish it off. And then we'll queue up a bunch of these for harvest. I don't know why it won't let me double click them all. Let's make sure, you know what? Cancel all that. We'll make sure that they're actually ready to be harvested. If they're at like 60%, I won't bother. There's actually quite a few down here. We'll have to make sure that we don't remove these or anything, because this is a free source of food that we can actually utilize, not just the animals. So that looks pretty good. That should give us enough to work with. Why did we just leave that? I guess I should add a bill here. Butcher creature, do forever. And let's see, you're sowing heal root. I'll let you finish that, and then I'm going to have you go... Oh, you're going to go butcher the rat, and then I imagine he'll go butcher the emu next. And then I think he will start cooking them into pemmican, which is great, because we don't have to worry about... they're essentially like fine meals that we don't have to refrigerate. Although it takes a lot more of them to, you know, fill you up. But that's fine. They're a little bit cheaper. And lower maintenance, so that's great too. There is a bunch of natural heal root around, which is great. And then we have a variety of different stone types here. So my thinking, let me pause here, was the majority of the walls are going to be made out of marble, because there seems to be a lot of marble around. And, you know, I like just the generic gray stone. But on these corner pillars, you can see I have them designated as solid. I want them to be, you know, pretty sturdy. Going more for an aesthetic than actual function here. If you guys are familiar with my other series, it's more of a roleplay series. I'm not trying to min-max or anything. I just want things to, you know, kind of fit the aesthetic we're going for. So the really heavy corners, I think, will sell the whole castle look. And on the corners of those, I might do sandstone, just so there's a little bit of like two-tone happening. If you've seen, you know, I don't know so much, I mean, I don't know really about realistic castles or, you know, historical ones, but in fantasy settings, you often see along the corners of the castles, they tend to have a darker stone in heavier cut blocks, and then the center part is generally a lighter stone in smaller cut blocks, just to give it some, you know, visual depth. So I figured we might try to do something like that and have like the four corners of this square block be sandstone, and the rest of the wall will be marble. And that'll not only just make it a little bit more visually interesting, but also reduce the amount of marble we actually need to use in the walls, because, you know, a bit of it will actually be sandstone instead. Looks like Hawk is working on training some of our animals. We're butchering up a emu now, the one that we killed earlier. I assume that this is being utilized. Oh, she's actually using the rat meat to tame the dog. Okay. I'd prefer that you didn't waste a bunch of it. We have a little bit of material there. How much was it again for a bedroll? 50, so we are not even close. There's nothing in here that they could sleep on. That's a real shame. Oh, our chickens are getting busy. Might have some chicks fairly soon. And it looks like they're getting started on our smoke leaf, which is great. I totally forgot about something. I completely blanked. We need to till the soil. How could I have forgotten? This will significantly increase how quickly these grow, and could be the difference between us surviving or not. So we'll want to do that, and that's something that Jarl Black and Trobo can actually do, while Cheta and Umbra plant, although Cheta seems to have jumped in on it as well. And the nice thing is it gives a very visually distinct look to the planting areas, so you can actually distinguish them from the rest of the ground, other than, you know, just the plants sticking out of them. Let's see, Hawk is going back for some mining. I'm curious. So your master is currently Hawk. You know what? I would... Since when do they have blood? Oh, that's going to be a different mod that I haven't mentioned yet. I actually would prefer that you follow the Jarl. That was my intent, was for him to be the Jarl's dog, but since Hawk is the animal master, that might not work out. Because this is an Elder Scrolls set series, there isn't just magic, there's also magical creatures, and one of those magical creatures is vampires. So our characters and our animals, they can actually get their blood sucked and become vampires themselves. There's also werewolves, and that is something else that our characters can become, although none of them are werewolves yet. We could have actually started with werewolves, but there is a mechanic when you start with a werewolf that they kind of go berserk when they first become one, and can absolutely just slaughter everything around them. So if you're starting a playthrough with a werewolf, that can be pretty difficult to deal with. Obviously, when that happens, you're going to want to kind of prepare for it and lock them up somewhere where they can't do a whole lot of damage. But that's difficult to do early on, so I figured it would be best not to start with one. And maybe we'll come across them later. There are werewolf and vampire factions on the map, as far as I'm aware, so we will certainly meet them. I just don't know when or where, and we may even end up taking on a few. Who knows? So anyways, let's see. If you guys have any suggestions as to the layout of the base here, feel free to let me know. Again, this is going to stay open air. That much I know for sure. This I'd like to have be like a very grand entrance into the Great Hall here. So it'll be a little bit more decorated, but it'll still be outdoors. And then this is actually going to be an open space where if all else fails and we're backed up into the Great Hall, we'll actually have embrasures here so that people can enter into this and fire out into the courtyard if they need to. And I'm not sure what I want to put here yet. I may station ballista in here. That one wouldn't work. You'd have nowhere to fire, but I could put ballista in here, assuming they are 1 by 1, and people could man them and fire those into this area. But I feel like those would be better suited on the outer walls, because if we're backed up this far, it seems like maybe too little too late. Although, I mean, it's always nice to have extra lines of defense, so we might do it. I don't know yet. And then I have to figure out if I want to leave this wall hollow, or if I'm just going to make it like 2 or 3 thick and then use the extra space inside for more room, or if I want people to be able to walk through it from one end to the other over here. So that's something that you guys can advise me on as well. And maybe we can have it, exit in the middle here into this area. So from here you could walk there, then, halfway out, or, wherever. I don't know. Just sort of, laying the boundaries. I like to work from the outside in. I know a lot of other people like to work from the inside out, but I find that when you do that, your bases end up kind of scattered because you start with one thing and then you realize, oh, I need this, and then you add that next to it, and then it's like, oh, but I need that as well, and it would have been better in that spot I just used. So from working outside in, it's easier for me to figure out where things need to be in relation to each other so that they work more efficiently. But that's just how I do things. That's not necessarily the right way to do it, but it works for me, or at least it seems to. So that's how I'm going to continue doing it. But again, if you have suggestions, I'd like to hear them. In the meantime, I think we'll end the episode here. Everybody's asleep, and it seems like a great spot to end it. I've also been recording for nearly an hour. So we'll break it off here. I look forward to hearing your guys' suggestions, and then I'll try to implement a few of them as much as I can in episode 2. We obviously have a lot of work to do before we can actually get anything real done, but we're going to keep pushing in that direction at the very least, and see what we can pull off. It looks like that's going to need to get used pretty quickly, otherwise it's going to go bad. So I'm going to have somebody get on these right away so that we have the material to start making pemmican. Because also, our survival is kind of based on the pemmican. If we're not constantly producing it, we might starve. What else? I guess I could make simple meals out of the meat as well, and we can just hunt everything. So that's the backup plan if we can't produce pemmican fast enough. And then these, growth rate is 6.7, 11%. So they're actually growing pretty quickly. We've only been playing for a full day, roughly. So that means we'll be ready to harvest these in about 10 days if things are constant. So that's pretty good, actually. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time playing some RimWorld with you. I hope you guys are looking forward to this new series. I know I am. And I, again, look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.